Welcome. Good morning. As I said earlier, thank you for joining us for today's webinar session, Video Solutions to Protect Students, Staff, and Visitors, presented by Alibi Security. We have a great mixture of attendees today. We have several of our Alibi dealers, partners, installers. Another thing is we've opened up this webinar as well to school administrators, staff, and faculty to help educate them on school security solutions. That then what we will do is, if you are a faculty member or a school member or somebody like that, we'll introduce you to a certified dealer, installer, and integrator of Alibi Security in your local area. So first, to get us started, let me introduce sort of the panel of experts that are on here and people that are a whole lot smarter than me. First, we have Robbie Thomas, who's our Director of Security. Robbie, introduce yourself and let the team know a little bit about you and how long you've been with the organization.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you for attending. I know everyone's time is valuable, so I certainly appreciate everyone attending today. A little bit about myself. My name is Robbie Thomas. I am the Director of Sales here at Alibi. I've been with the company 16 going on 17 years. So when you think about how long that is in one industry, that is actually a pretty long time, especially in our industry. I'm here to help everybody. I've worked with countless schools and hundreds of jobs with schools. So really feel like we'll be able to add a little bit of value for y'all on what I've seen over the years and things that people have done that have worked and haven't worked. So I'm really excited about the webinar. Thank you all very much.
Fantastic. Thanks, Robbie. We also have Bryce Brendan, who is our Senior Sales, Inside Sales Specialist for Cloud Video Solutions. Bryce, introduce yourself.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Name is Bryce. Got brought on here right around the same time Cloud did. I handle a lot of the emerging technologies that we decided to bring on. And one of the fastest growing verticals that I've seen adopt the technology is schools and the education space. So hopefully we're going to be able to share a lot of what we've been seeing with, why certain groups of schools are moving in this direction. And I think we'll hopefully give you some pretty concrete info and apples to apples compares. So looking forward to it. Thanks for your time.
Fantastic. And then rounding out our panel of experts, Jessica Kinsler. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Jessica. I've been here for about 2 years now. I am the Inside Specialist for Hybrid Cloud. I'm really looking forward to providing you guys with some very important information on helping to keep your schools safer and smarter. So I really enjoy your time being here and look forward to it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jessica. And my name is Bill Rogers. I head up the sales organization here at Alibi Security. I've been here for 16 years, right about the same amount of time as Robbie has been. And as he said, we've spent, countless years working with everything from K-12 to high education in the emerging video security technology. When Robbie and I started here, jog shuttle VCRs were still a thing and the primary means of recording. So that tells you, one, how long we've been in the company and how the industry has evolved since then. And we're really looking forward to just sharing the different types of video security technologies that are out in the marketplace. For those of you that aren't familiar with Alibi Security, Alibi Security has been around for 30 plus years. We're a value-added technology partner for video and audio surveillance, access control, cloud-based video security solutions. And one of the big differences between Alibi Security and a lot of other partners that are out there, we heavily invest in our dealers, installers, and integrators with business enablement services. Everything from dedicated sales support to direct US-based technical support teams to professional services, marketing, lead generation engines, VSaaS, and subscription management. And as I said, we've been doing this a long, long time. A little bit of the meeting logistics, since we do have quite a large audience attending. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A button on your screen, type out the questions, and we've got a panel of experts that are there to answer your questions. If there are any unanswered questions out there at the end, we will ensure that everybody is followed up directly to make sure that their question's answered. And also, if you have any other video security or access control topics or things like that in part of this educational series that we're doing, please let us know. Type that down in the Q&A so that we can add that to our list. Well, fantastic. That covers all the do's and don'ts. Let's get started. First, today's agenda. We really split this webinar up into two different areas. First, part of just how to create a video security plan and what does that enable? And then secondly, what's the right technology solution for you? There are so many different types of technology solutions out there, whether it be on-premise video, whether it be hybrid, whether it be true cloud, camera to cloud video technology. So we're going to help go through those technologies to help you identify which one's the right fit for your campus, or is it a mixture of several of these different solutions that help solve your campus needs? So first, it's important, and the reason why we opened up this webinar to school administrators, staff, and personnel with dealers, installers, and integrators, this is important that as you're creating a video security plan, that both the end users, which are the campus staff, administrators, and personnel, are working hand in hand with their dealers, installers, and integrators, and really putting this plan together. You have the local subject matter experts, which are the campus team, and then you have the technology subject experts, which are the dealers, installers, and integrators. And it's important that you all work together in creating this plan. And the first step is to really evaluate your existing system. How old is that system? Is it IP or analog cameras? What is the resolution of the cameras that you have? Ideally in today's world, you need at minimum a 2 megapixel camera for clarity to be able to identify those potential concerns or issues or threats. Below 2 megapixel, you start getting to where, it's when you're trying to do facial recognition or trying to see the person, it gets harder when you get to those lower resolutions, especially at further away. Is your system available to be accessed remotely? In other words, can someone use an app to live view the system? And then making a list of what your major frustrations with the video security system that you have in place today, so that you have that list and you know what your priorities are as you're looking at either upgrading or completely retrofitting your video security solution. Next, it's important to understand your IT network infrastructure. That's why part of this committee or this group that's going to be in charge of putting together a video security plan needs to be, whether it be the campus IT person or the district IT person, that individual is part of this group, because in today's world, video security technology is networked, is integrated into the campus IT infrastructure. Things that are important to take into consideration is the bandwidth. What is the bandwidth that's available there? Will someone be live viewing it constantly? In other words, is there Wi-Fi connectivity across the entire campus? This is where we see, especially with SROs on campus, a huge benefit is that schools are starting to assign this SRO a tablet, an iPad, so that they're live viewing the entire campus as they're walking around patrolling with a tablet, and they're able to see any part of the campus with that tablet. And then, as I said, mapping out your priorities, really using your major frustrations list that you have above, whether it be entry doors, main hallways, or intersections. So as you're going into it, keep in mind, the average campus size and how large campuses are. An elementary school is 55 to 70 square feet per student. A middle school is 75 to 100. A high school is 85 to 110 square feet per student. So school campuses are a large area. And as we all know, we have a limited amount of resources to be able to cover that large area. So, where should you place your cameras for maximum coverage? So if we take a look at a mock-up of a typical campus, some of the things to take into consideration, and we'll sort of work our way around the map, is large meeting areas like gymnasiums, auditoriums, conference halls. There may be a need to have multiple cameras in there so that you don't have blind spots. Trust me, students can identify blind spots very quickly. So making sure that you have coverage in large areas. Exterior windows, making sure that you've got cameras on the outside looking down exterior windows. Even if they don't open, windows are doors. I'm sorry, let me turn my video off, see if that helps. Is that better?
Yes.
All right, making sure that your perimeter doors are covered and you've got coverage on your perimeter doors. Also, hallway intersections. This is a key area to make sure that you've got coverage is your hallway intersections. Cameras outside the restrooms. You know, students know that, you know, restrooms aren't monitored. And so a lot of times when bad things happen, they happen in the restrooms. So having the outside of the restrooms covered so that if there is an incident or an issue, you can identify the people that went in and the people that came out. And then a live monitoring station. So a lot of times on campus is you have a receptionist or a person there at the front that's sort of buzzing people in because most campuses now have, you know, person capture zones and a person's got to be buzzed in. Having a monitor on that person's desk that has your most critical cameras being live view. So from their desk, they normally have a telephone sitting right next to them and they're able to see all of those major access areas. So those are some of the high priorities when you're trying to take into consideration of of campuses and where you're going to put cameras at. Next is maintenance. And I tell you, this is, for doing this for 16 years, this is the most, to me, one of the most important things about your video security solution and the most forgotten thing about your video security solution. It's important to make this a priority and to make sure that you have a person assigned responsible to this, whether it be on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, but the video security maintenance is a part of their job. You know, maintenance is like insurance, and a video security system is like insurance. You never know you need it till you need it, and when you need it, you're glad you have it. But things like, are all of your cameras online? In a large campus situation or a large building, keep in mind, most cameras nowadays are an IP device that have an IP address. You have things like IP conflicts, things like that, because, you know, devices are always being added to the network. So are all of your cameras online? A lot of people forget about this, but cameras have lenses, and lenses need to be cleaned. You know, is your camera clean? This is a scenario of a dirty camera versus a clean camera. So, you know, is it part of your maintenance team's responsibility to, on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, to make sure that especially outside, your camera lenses are being cleaned so that you can see what's happening in a crisp, clear environment. Also, are there any obstructions? So this is a scenario where one of the schools that we were partnering with here in the Austin area, Hyde Park High School, for our gun detection AI analytic, we were walking through a demo with Austin Police Department and noticed that this campus, this is outside the library, that the tree that is here has grown to the point that, you know, a good 25% of the screen has been covered up by the tree. So in talking with the school campus staff, they were able to come out, have their maintenance team come out and sort of clean up that image. And now you can see all the way down the walkway. You can see over to this sidewalk over here, so you can see more. So making sure that there's no obstructions in the way of the cameras, especially as vegetation and things like that grow. Lastly, we're going to talk about the different types of technologies. You have everything from on-premise to cloud technology, and which one's the right one for you. So we're going to go through a brief overview of, you know, Alibi Vigilant, which is our on-premise solution, to Alibi Hybrid, which is a good meld of two, and then straight cloud solution, Alibi Cloud VS. So first, to kick us off, Robbie's going to talk a little bit about Alibi Vigilant. Robbie?
Thank you, Bill. So everyone here has probably heard about cameras. Traditionally, we talk about on-premise cameras as the most commonly installed solution in America. Alibi has been installing cameras selling cameras for over 30 years, and we have listened to our integrators and our end users alike to make a lot of change in hopes of improving the on-premise solution so that it's really different from a lot of others. So one of the things that we always like to cover is the pros and cons, right? Because, you know, that's really how, when you're comparing which solution to use, you would pick the pros and cons. So let me go ahead and kind of talk about that. So when we talk about pros and cons, one of the biggest pros and cons is resolution. So from a pro standpoint, on-premise cameras can scale up to 12 megapixel, whereas cloud cameras typically limit around 2, sometimes to 4 megapixel, depending on your internet capabilities. But we're not necessarily dependent on that on an on-premise solution. So you have a lot more variety on on-premise solutions when we start talking about that. So for example, when you talk about on-premise options, we can do turret, bullet, dome, PTZ, specialty cameras. We can kind of do everything under the sun, right? I mean, you name it, we've developed it. We've developed all the different brackets needed for all the different scenarios, even at schools, right? When gymnasiums, you need pendant mounts, you need gooseneck, you need any kind of corner mount, whatever bracket, you know. On premise, we really went deep and wide, just because it's something that's been around for, you know, 30 or 40 years. Doesn't require quite as high of internet speed when we start talking about on-premise solution, because you're only logging in remotely when you're doing on-premise. Some of the cons with on-premise are, you know, because it uses lower internet, you can only really have 4 to 6 users logged into a box at one time, you know, walking around with a tablet. So cloud, you can kind of have an unlimited amount, just like it's multi-streaming. So just go into Amazon.com. You know, they don't have really a limit to how many users go onto that website. The same thing holds true on cloud. On premise, though, we're limited to about 4 to 6 users because of some of the other requirements we're looking to meet. Another con when you compare to cloud is you do have to have an NVR on site with a head-in. So a lot of times you have to have more infrastructure to make it all work. The last con that I would call out is our boxes, and just like almost everybody else's boxes out there, it's limited to about 128 cameras per box on the max. So if you're doing a campus rollout, you would actually have to do, if you're doing 200 cameras, you would need 2 recorders. Now on the back end, we have a CMS software that merges them together and makes them look like one, but technically it is a con. Bill, if you'll go to the next slide.
Yeah, thank you about that. Sorry about that. My computer decided to reboot for some reason. We'll turn it over to Jessica to talk about the features and benefits of Alibi Hybrid. Jessica.
Hey, good morning again, everybody. So Hybrid Cloud is a great add-on feature to any on-prem system. The great thing about it is we can add it on to any Vigilant, any Witness, or we can integrate with most other systems out there. If it's not something that is part of us, just get with your local dealer. And if you don't have one, we can certainly find one for you and see what we can get done for your system. But with that being said, it can integrate with any IP system. It can do any analog as well. But some of the great features that come with Hybrid Cloud is there is a light health monitoring that's built in. So if there's any sort of lost connectivity between cameras or recorder, you'll receive a notification letting you know that there is no longer a connection and we need to reestablish. It's great for those situations where if you have thought that your system is great and up and going all this time and a camera has been down for the last 3 months, we've lost mission critical data. So that's where this health monitoring comes in as an extra layer of protection. But the other piece to it too is the cloud backup. So every camera that you back up to the cloud, you're going to get 6 months of redundant backup storage and it'll be available for you. So once that recorder starts to, hard drive starts to record over itself, all of that data will be available. The analytics that are built into the Hybrid Cloud, we have gun detection, which we're going to go over here in a little bit, loitering detection, people hanging around for way too long, objects left behind that can cause dangerous situation, and of course your regular human and vehicle detections as well.
Fantastic. Now we're going to turn it over to Robin. He's going to go into a little deeper dive into Alibi Vigilant and sort of share a couple aspects of Alibi Vigilant when it comes to campus safety. Robbie?
Thank you. So when you start talking about on-premise Alibi Vigilant, one of the things that we always talk about with Alibi Vigilant is we can kind of go up and down the stack. So what that means to you is we can go from 4 cameras to 128 cameras. We can do analog, we can do IP, we can do a combination. We can also do, any combination plus have some of them go into the cloud. We meet all the new federal requirements from the National Defense Authorization Act that was signed back in 2019. So everything that we have on our line is NDAA compliant. One of the things that we do offer different from a lot of other companies is we are always picking the nicest chipsets available and putting them into our models. For schools, that's really important because you'll have other companies out there that'll maybe have an 8 megapixel camera, but the imager is 4 years old. It's a less expensive imager, and it does really poorly at night. We're kind of the opposite. We're almost always going to have the latest and greatest chipsets. We're going to use glass optics. We believe that the glass optics in a Pepsi challenge against the plastic counterparts do better at night. Because we're doing the advanced chipsets, we get to do a lot of powerful analytics. So we're going to be able to do things like human and car and everything like that. And it'd probably be better if I just kind of quickly show y'all what it kind of looks like. So I'm going to log in to a browser, to a box. So we have a cloud option when we do our boxes. So if we do multiple options, we can log into the cloud portal account. Your integrators will do this for you. They'll set all this up. But if you had a multi-site rollout, say a campus or a school district, they may have 40 schools. They would all be loaded up. You could tell if you have a light health monitoring. You don't have to keep up with any of the passwords. You can share to any of your school faculty. The integrator can help set this up, but it's real simple. You can share to them. You can share how long you want to share to them. You can pick what locations they can have. You can pick down to what cameras they have access to. If they were to quit or get fired, when they leave the company, you can quickly go in and remove them from a global standpoint so that you don't have to worry about going to every box like days of old or other companies where you have to log into each box to remove a user. It's real simple. When you come into our boxes, we're really about security. So one of the best ways to stay secure is to make sure your box is always up to date. We do cloud updates. So you can go in and quickly check for your box to see if it is up to date. It also has the ability to, on your phone, send you updates. So pretty neat. When we start talking about playback on the cloud or on-premise versus other on-premise units, we try to do things a little bit differently. So when you start talking about recordings, you can look down here. I picked a porch camera. You can see that the red dashes at the bottom are, pixel density change, right? And that is how motion works. But, we actually have smart events where, when we're trying to say, is it a human or is it a car? We can come in and you can start to select where those green dashes are, and you can see me coming out this back door, right? So when you're trying to do search or playback, you can get it to where it's a lot quicker. You can also, on any camera, you could say, hey, I just really care about when an event happens here, and you could hit search and the green dashes would change at the bottom and you could do playback for just a specific area. Where this is important to you is when you have an event, if you're just looking at pixel density change or motion, you may spend 2 hours trying to find an event. with using our smart features, it actually works a lot better on you finding the event quickly, and then you can quickly offload it and send it over to whomever, maybe the authorities, maybe the SRO, or maybe the principal, whoever you need to send it to, you can quickly get it to them. We also, because we have went really deep on all the different advanced chipsets, we actually started thinking about like, well, it's great if you record an event, but what if we could notify you of an issue happening? Let's say you have a trash can out back behind your campus and y'all get a bunch of dumping, right? You want to catch the individuals doing that because it's costing your school district a lot of extra money to get the trash cans emptied more often than what you're paying for. We can actually have our cameras to where they push a notification to whoever you want to on our app, and it kind of looks like this right here. So here's a view from my phone. Let's say after hours, you don't want someone coming to a door, you don't want someone coming to your trash cans. This is how this works. So at the header of your phone, just like anybody else's phone, it'll do a push notification. You simply click that button at the top, it pulls up the app, you click the top film reel, because that's the most recent event, and then it'll give you an option of a high resolution or a low resolution. I'm actually going to show it in the low. So you can see worst case scenario, and you can see it notifying when someone's coming to the door in this instance. But our cameras are smart enough for you to set up these notifications for you to do under any scenario, like I was kind of describing, where you don't want a car coming up to a trash can after hours, or you don't want a human coming up to the doors after hours, right? It'll give you pre-warning of what the event is so that maybe you can make change, or maybe you can stop the problem from when it happens. And Jessica will actually go into even deeper dives when we start talking about some of the gun detection notifications here in a second. So when I talk about on-premise to all of our integrators, and then when we're doing demos with schools or end users alike, I like to talk about, we make it easy to see the video, we make it easy to find it during playback, and we also do preemptive or push notifications of events that you want to stop. So unlike a lot of other people's on-premise solutions, this one really fits the bill, and with the hybrid cloud, it's really unique. It's wholly unique to the industry. So I would like to kind of end my part on-prem, and then I'll turn it back over to Bill. Bill?
So Robbie, to sort of close out the Vigilant section, talk about the other integrations that we have out there.
Oh, good point. Yeah, sorry about that. We realize we're not the only camera people out there. One of the things that we like to do is we like to make sure that we're interoperable with a lot of the other competitors out there, so that when we go out and we're trying to help our integrators and then make our communities safer and smarter, we do a lot of time integrating with like XactVision, Avigilon, Control4, Immix for alarm. People probably don't know who Immix is, and most people wouldn't care, but almost everybody who uses alarm panels to set their alarm, they have monitoring stations across the country. Those monitoring stations have to use a software. More often than not, it's Immix. We integrate with them so that any monitoring station that your integrators are using, we can also do video monitoring for you, right? So we do a lot of integration just to make our stuff really work seamlessly out in the market. And I think that's a big difference than a lot of people. A lot of people go under the Apple model that they only want to play with their own items. And we don't. We want to make sure that we help everybody. So I think that's a big call out. What, Bill?
Fantastic. Thanks, Robbie. So now turn it over to Jessica to cover Alibi Hybrid, which is really bringing the best of both worlds of cloud and on-premise together. Jessica.
Yeah, so I really want to focus on a couple of different things that I mentioned a minute ago, but I just want to reiterate. This can be done on any witness recorder or any Vigilant recorder, any DVR or NVR, and we can integrate with just almost anything out there when it comes to the hybrid cloud. We make this very simple and easy to do. And of course, you're going to get 6 months of redundant footage up into that cloud. It just provides so much more storage than what you might be getting currently. So that way we can save those events for a later date. And if you need to go back and take a look at them. Then of course, we're doing AI analytics that are based in the engine, and it reduces 95% of the false positives that you just don't care about. So what this can do is it can do gun detection, loitering detection, objects left behind, and your humans and vehicles. So the one type of analytic that I really want to hit on today for you guys when it comes to your school campus safety is the gun detection. We recognize that the amount of gun violence in America keeps increasing over a very rapid rate, and everyone is trying to find a fix for this problem. Most companies out there are doing some form of shot detection where it's based on the sound and the air pressure of that shot, which can be a great technology, but it just doesn't give anybody any time. By the time that that first shot goes off, everyone can hear it and panic starts to set in. With the gun detection analytics, the hybrid cloud can offer, it will identify that threat prior to any shots going off, before the first shot. What that means is that the very second a gun comes into the view of the camera, it sends a proactive notification via text message to everyone's cell phone that is listed on the account. And we can do multiple phone numbers on the account. That text then provides the video of the detected gun along with those screenshots to be able to be viewed on your cell phone right then and there. This is all prior to any shots being fired. This allows you and gives you the time to go into your lockdown protocols. We understand that you put protocols in place to keep your campuses safe. That's the whole goal. And we want to be able to give you the time that you need to get everybody into that protocol and get them safe. Our whole goal here at Alibi Security is keeping our communities safer, smarter, and more secure. With the gun detection analytics, it provides the ability to do that. So at this time, what I want to do is start showing you the gun detection analytics and all of that it has to offer. So what I'm going to start to show you is a staged event at a local high school, and we had the help performed by a local security officer. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys here. Hopefully everybody can see this, but this is what our platform looks like. This is very, very simple. It's kept very easy for you guys to be able to view and to use. But you'll notice that he is walking with this AR looking gun coming into camera view. The pink box, that's the actual gun detection analytic. That is recognizing the fact that we have a positive gun detected in that video. And the very second that that gentleman starts walking with that gun, it sends that text message immediately. You get it within seconds. So then you're able to view your phone, see what's going on, and immediately start going into what you need to do.
And Jessica, real quick to reiterate on this, the way the analytics built is to avoid from that false positive. There are over 1 million different images of handguns and long guns built and growing in this analytic tool. And it only sends a notification once it gets to that 95% probability. So if you were to zoom in on this, you would see that it's constantly looking to hit that 95 probability. When the gun first comes into the image, it starts out at like a 30%. And then as soon as it identifies that, yes, it's 95% or greater, that it's a gun, then it would start sending out those notifications. Sorry about that, Jessica.
No, great point, Bill. So what it also can do is it can do still frame shots of the actual video, which can provide some more detail. So what that looks like is this here. It'll say detected gun, the date, the time, and which camera caught the detection. So these images here is of that video of this gentleman walking with this gun. And you just keep on scrolling and it will provide those still frame shots one by one. And both these right here, along with this video, is what's going to be sent via text message to your cell phone. So you don't even have to go into the platform and try and go looking for it. It's going to be proactive, prior to any shots being fired. So with that being said, you may ask, well, what does that text message look like? So I'm going to show that to you here. And this is the text message that you would receive. It'll say detection possible gun with the percentage of confidence. The blue hyperlink is going to be the video along with the still frame shots. Now, this can detect both guns and pistols. It will label it that way. So you'll see gun up here, pistol down here, depending upon what detection of gun it has. So when we say that this can do all different types of guns, we absolutely mean it. So the gun is going to be anything long range. So that's going to be your rifles, your shotguns, your ARs. Your pistols are going to be anything that you can hold in your hand. But these text messages are immediate. The very second that that gun comes into the camera view, over that 95% confidence, it will send these text messages to your phone. And again, this can be sent to multiple phone numbers, as many as you want. So what that looks like for your school district, if you want it to be sent to the principal, if you want it to be sent to the superintendent, if you want it to be sent to your teachers or your security staff on site, we can absolutely set that up for you guys. If you even want this to be sent to the local law enforcement to help reduce that amount of time that they're being notified, we can absolutely make that happen as well. So this just provides so much value with what's going on in our world right now. And we want to do our part to help keep your schools safer and smarter. Bill?
Fantastic, Jessica. Appreciate it. As we said, you know, one of the great parts of this technology is that it can be used with virtually any platform that's out there. So if you've got existing platform that you only want to upgrade some cameras to or things like that, it works with those. So if you're looking for a deeper dive and a demonstration of Alibi Hybrid, please give us a call, get with your account manager. If you're one of our direct customers, then we'll link you to a dealer, installer, and integrator in your area that's certified. So please reach out to us. All right, moving on to Alibi Cloud VS in a true cloud-based technology. Bryce is going to share some of that with you. Bryce?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Yeah, so just a quick pause. So full cloud is going to be separate from anything we've been discussing up to this point. And really the reason that we wanted to kind of highlight it today, even though it is separate, is because, you know, to my previous point, we are seeing a lot of schools move this direction. So really just want to highlight a couple of the reasons as to why we're seeing so much traction and growth in this specific vertical. And then I'm going to keep it relatively high level on the full cloud. And really we can do a really deep dive into cloud because it's kind of its own beast. So if you do want to deep dive, take advantage of it. We're happy to do that at a later time as well. Just hitting on some of the biggest benefits that I discuss on a daily basis through the lens of what a school would want. The most frequent that I discuss has to do with the actual management of the system. The cloud takes what can typically be a cumbersome and laborious process of managing your system and actually makes it a pretty easy and intuitive to use system. So really the goal with cloud is to just take normal everyday operation of your system and just drastically simplify it down to the point of having the same intuitive, user-friendly interface that you're used to on any other aspect or applications that you'd use on a daily basis. Another really big talking point is we do offer 24/7 cloud recording. That's a little bit unique right now in the space. Most people will give you clips and then they'll record locally on the camera. So you do have a little bit of increased risk on a local storage. If something were to happen to that device, you would lose it. Whereas our cameras will store it in the cloud by default immediately. So your risk of data loss is very, very low in comparison. I saw a question in chat asking about if cloud has port forwarding. The short answer is no, there is no port forwarding at all. That's a really big selling point because schools can unfortunately often be a target for cyber attacks. So we actually can give you an ultra secure connection. Anytime you're actually getting on to access the system, you're hitting the data center itself, not your network. So you avoid opening up those doors for, anybody who's trying to get in maliciously. We aren't going to be giving them any weak points to exploit. That next point down, scalability. So this is a big one, especially if you are expanding, or if, let's say, if you're a part of a group that handles a variety of different schools at different properties. What's great about the cloud is we don't have to worry about doing any complex calculations of, hey, how many channels are we going to have to account for, not just now, but down the road, right? Like to Robbie's point, if you got 200 cameras, the biggest box to make is a 128. So you're going to have to go to a new box, right? Well, in the cloud, we don't have to worry about that because we're not actually limited to the head end. We just connect them to the cloud account. We move on. We can have as many cameras across as many properties as we would like to and actually have them come back to one spot. And then that last point, the SD card backup storage. This is another thing that's a little bit unique to us right now. So being that it's an internet-based storage, obviously we want to have a fail-safe measure. So that's what those SDs are going to do for us. If we were to lose network connection for whatever reason, the SD card is going to take over that load. When your network comes back online, that camera is actually going to take that footage, push it back to the cloud for you, put that missing piece back, and avoid you having to actually do anything manually to go and retrieve that footage. Now, it feels a little funny, probably, the cloud guy telling you the cons of cloud, but I think this is just one of those things to consider when you're making your decision between what platform is going to be right for you. And really, these cons don't apply to everybody, but starting at the top, you will have a little bit more of a limitation as far as resolution goes because we want to keep the bandwidth a little bit minimal. You'll be limited to 2 megapixel right now, which is still full high definition resolution, which I'll show you in a second. But let's say if you had like you wanted to get a license plate tag at 150 feet out in a parking lot, we may tell you, okay, cloud may not be your, one brush that fits all on your system. You need to get some higher resolution. There is a little bit more or a little bit less flexibility on camera models right now on the cloud, just because they do have a different firmware. So right now it's going to be what I call like the meat and potato lineup, your average everyday security cameras. You'll lose some of those kind of like specialized cameras that may have like the 360 lens, for example. That being said, we are obviously always adding to this list. And then the last one, which is probably the most important, is if you're going to be doing an internet-based storage, obviously we want to make sure you have the sufficient internet, right? And really it's a matter of upload speed more than anything. So that camera is just, we want to make sure that it has what it needs to get that connection from the camera itself to the data center. And it's not a huge load. Most of the time you only end up needing anywhere from a 0.5 megabit per second upload, upwards of 1.5 on the really high end. So as long as you've got that, cloud's going to be a good fit for you. And now what I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and show you an example of an account. So this is actually the same account that had the gun detection stage. They utilize both systems. So one thing that I talk to schools about very frequently has to do with reducing the amount of time that individuals in your organization spend on your camera system, especially when you have a variety of individuals that have access to these systems. We don't really want to spend a bunch of time training everybody on how to use the system. And we also don't want to have to worry about, your IT guy or your security guy, or, if you give out access to teachers or administrators, we don't want this to be so difficult that they have to spend hours of their day locating incidents, figuring out how to live view cameras. We don't want them wasting time, because obviously every member of your organization, their time has a monetary value. And so we want the IT guy to be doing IT stuff during the day for obvious reasons. So again, keeping it relatively high level, you can see here on the left-hand side, we can basically create whatever flavor of a camera system we want to, because anywhere these cameras are linked up, we can hook them back to one spot. So you create whatever zones of cameras you'd like to. You can click them over and view them however you'd like to do. But the one thing that I really want to highlight today is locating incidents and getting them where they need to go, because I think that's probably the most consistent positive feedback that I get specifically from our customers in the education space. So instead of using like a, generic motion-based recording that a lot of you are probably used to, it's going to be a little bit more robust than that. So we're actually going to be using some analytics in the cameras. So these analytics can help us do a couple of different things that will really reduce the amount of time you're spending looking for an incident. So number one, you can see here on the bottom, I've got all these little pictures. So based on what I have told this camera to tag for me, it is just sitting there looking for events to tag. In that case, it was that vehicle. You can do a couple of different types of detections. We do have a human being specific detection as well, which I'll show you in a second. But all these tags are just getting placed on my timeline for me to go back and reference. And if you were to look, for example, at a motion-based recording, if I turn on motion, all of that stuff at the bottom there that pops up is a general motion tag. And that's stuff that you probably have had to in the past dig through to find an incident. So we don't want to waste our time looking at all of that. We just want to focus on the main ones. And one other thing we have completely dedicated to this is this events tab right here. And this is personally probably my favorite thing we've ever added to the platform, because what this will do is it will actually prevent you from having to go through your camera system, camera by camera by camera, after an incident takes place. So let's say, for example, we had some vandalism earlier in the day, right, or yesterday, and we want to actually pull up the incident, locate, where it was at, who did it in a timely manner without having to go through each camera one by one by one. So what I would do is I would simply pull up my events tab that has all my analytic previews. I can filter by what cameras, day, time of day, and I can even filter by what type of analytic tag it is. So let's say if I want to just have people and not the objects, right? Now we're getting really specific. And then if I want, I can come up here to my little picture preview. I can hover over here, and in a second, it'll actually give us a nice little preview of what's going on without us having to even click into our footage timeline. So you can see how quick that was for me to locate that without even really noting a specific time range. And then if we want to get this to where it needs to go, we simply click, we're there on our timeline. We click export, we choose where to send it. You're not going to be having to worry about, having a special file type that the police can use or the insurance company can use. It's going to be a really friendly file type that will play with whoever you want to send it to. So again, stop wasting your time, pull it footage and send it where it needs to go. It's a ridiculously straightforward process. And then kind of the last thing that I'll hit on today that will really help you simplify, your actual user experience is you can create as many user profiles in your organization as you would like to. So you can give anybody access that you want. There's no limit. But then you can actually go into any of these users, this one, for example, and you control what they're allowed to do. So if you've got a teacher that has access, you probably don't want them configuring anything, right? So you can go in here and you can actually get rid of those permissions. You can also get rid of their access to certain cameras. So if you have, let's say, somebody outside of the school that is looking at exterior cameras, but you don't want them seeing inside, that's fine. Just come in here and get rid of it. So you have total flexibility over who you want to give access to and what you want to give them access to. And then as far as today goes, I'll probably stop there. But as you can imagine, there's a lot more to hit on. So if you want to schedule a more in-depth conversation and get it, really specific to your environment, just let us know. We're happy to set it up and we'll give you a deep dive. And I'll go ahead and send it back over to you, Bill. Oh, you're on mute.
Fantastic, Bryce. Appreciate it. One thing I did want to do that we sort of missed when my computer randomly decided to reboot was on your cameras, and Robbie, Jessica, and Bryce all showed you views through cameras. One of the important things especially in a school environment, is to name your cameras, something that identifies the location of where they're at. Hallways in schools and on campuses all look identical. And the last thing you want is for your SRO to be live viewing their tablet, see an incident, and it says it's camera 22. and you've got that SRO has no idea where camera 22 is at. So make sure you're naming something that identifies where they're at on the campus, especially for internal and hallways. The campus that we've all been sharing that we partner with, Hyde Park High School, they've named it by the teacher's classroom that's closest to that. Everybody knows, including the SRO, where Miss White's room is or where Mr. Thompson's room is, or using the room number that's closest to that camera. So I wanted to cover that as my screen cut out. Lastly, wanted to see if there are any other questions out there that hadn't answered. I know we've had several that we've gone in and answered, and we'll share in our email, that we send out. We'll send out these answers for all of the questions that we've had. One question we have is there an option to pilot test some of the analytics through the hybrid cloud? Is get with your account manager, which will then link you up with Jessica, and she'll walk through how to set up a demo account for you. Jeff asked, can I get a copy of the webinar? Yes, this webinar will be posted on Alibi's, and that leads actually to our next slide. It'll be posted on Alibi's YouTube channel probably in the next 48 hours. As soon as it's posted and we have it, we'll send out this link to everybody that attended the webinar so that you can then forward that on to other individuals that you know as part of your teams that weren't able to attend. Let's see, any other questions out there? Will Cloud VS eventually have similar ARs that hybrid cloud recorders have? Yes, it's on the roadmap. We don't have an ETA. Ideally, we would like to have all of the gun detection, the loitering, the object left behind integrated into our cloud video technology as well. I would say realistically, we're looking at a 2023 timeline for something like that. But yes, it is on our roadmap and something that we'd like to work towards. Does the firearm alert pick up holstered weapons, i.e. local law enforcement or uniformed security? Jessica or Bryce, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So okay. The gun detection analytics will pick up holstered weapons, but the percentage of confidence is just not going to be near as high as a weapon that's going to be out in the open. We want to make sure that we keep our percentages of confidence very high when it comes to gun detection, because we don't want to just be sending a bunch of different notifications that are not going to be of benefit. So to answer your question, it will. It's just not going to be as high of a detection as something that's going to be out in the open.
In other words, it's not going to trip that 95. Keep in mind, it sends the alerts and it starts sending the alerts and the notifications at a 95. And perfect example, when we were walking through with the Austin Police Department in this demo that we did for Hyde Park High School, it was detecting on the SRO's holstered weapon, but it was hovering around the 30% range, 30 to 40% range. So great question. Let's see, any other questions? Can we overlay different analytics on different cameras, or is it packaged in a way that the analytics we choose that are applied to all the cameras? So the analytic for hybrid is tied to the camera. So you choose which analytic you want on which campus. And this really enables you to put together a solution that fits your specific campus needs. Perfect example. And we'll go back to the pilot high school that we did with Hyde Park. They have all of their perimeter cameras have 24-hour gun detection on. In other words, that AI analytic is chosen because it is a subscription-based service that all of their perimeter cameras are looking for gun detection 24 hours. All of the interior cameras are on a 12-hour plan. In other words, it's 7 to 7 or 8 to 8, whatever they choose as the time slot. End of hallways, under stairs, you can have the loitering detection on that it's recording, because a lot of times that's where people start hanging out, is under the stairs or outside the bathrooms or things like that. So you can have the loitering on that. So the analytic is tied to the camera itself. Let's see here. yes, we could, if you're looking for, as someone said, they were looking for CE credit, we can definitely send you something on that. And then let's see here. Any other questions will get answered via follow-up if there are any other questions that come in. I know we want to be cognizant of your time and keep you at the hour. So, and as I've got the slide up about our YouTube, definitely check out our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of recordings and webinars and things like that that go into greater depth of these solutions. If you're one of our end users that are, campus, school personnel, safety officers, and are interested in this technology, please reach out to us and we'll ensure that we sync you up to a certified dealer, partner, and installer in your area. And as always, we greatly appreciate your support, greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. And our number's on the screen. If you don't have it and like to write it down, definitely take us up on the offer to call in and let us demonstrate and go into deeper depth of this technology for you. Once again, thank you much. We appreciate the time. Have a great day.